Hello, psych students. In this video, we're going to discover the chemical senses, which would include taste and smell. We're going to start off with taste, something as humans we can all kind of relate to. Taste uses specialized cells known as chemoreceptors. Most people call them taste buds. In other words, these are specialized receptor cells located on our tongue that detect chemical sensations when they are stimulated. In other words, when you place a substance on your tongue, an action potential is created which sends that to the brain. So what a taste bud is technically they are folds of skin on the surface of the tongue. So as you can see here, we have our dendrites of the sensory neurons. So that would be located on the tongue. So therefore, when a chemical is placed on there, it creates a reaction and transmits that information to the brain. All right, so what we're going to talk about is the different type of taste receptors. So just like in the eyes, there's different receptor cells. So here we see the same thing. In general, most people agree that the four basic taste receptors are sweet, sour, salty, and bitter, which are located in different regions on the tongue. So for example, when you put a piece of candy in your mouth and we get that sweet sensation, it is stimulating those sweet receptor cells, and that's how we know it is tasting sweet. Scientists have also discovered a fifth basic taste. Are you guys ready for this? It is called umami. So umami is a Japanese word that we've given to this particular sensation. Technically, it's called monosodium glutamate. And to put it into words, I've heard it described as unsalted chicken soup. So if you think of what that would taste like, that's what this particular taste sensation would be. So people often use this in cuisines and cooking, for example. But it's kind of strange as Americans because, with these first four, most of us agree those are the basic tastes. We think that umami is more familiar in other cultures because they use it probably daily. So if you think about our typical diet, we don't always eat MSG, and so therefore that's why it may seem kind of strange to us as Americans. So it just kind of shows that familiarity plays a role in terms of taste. We have also discovered that there are genetic differences in taste. And so for this one, we're going to use the example of phenothiocarbamide, also known as PTC. You may have taken a biology class where your teacher gave the students a little slip of paper and you were instructed to put it on your tongue, and some people could taste it and some people could not. That piece of paper has this chemical phenothiocarbamide, and the reason that some people can taste it is because they've inherited this genetic difference in their ability to taste. What we're saying basically is the reason you're able to taste it, if you're one of those people, is because you have more taste buds than average. So we have found that these people who have this gene have really picky diets as a result. And so we have a name for you in the science. Once again, are you ready for this? We call you a super taster. Pretty fancy, eh? What this basically means is that per area on your tongue, you would have a more dense cluster of taste buds. So once again, it may explain why you don't like black coffee or very sour fruit. In other words, stronger tastes seem to bother these people because they're very sensitive to it. The point is we have discovered that there are genetic differences in your ability to taste, and thus the experience of sensation of taste can be different. Other factors linking to differences in taste would include smoking. As you probably know, smoking is bad for you in many ways. but we also know that it disrupts the process of the taste buds. We know that developmental factors also play a role. So as we get into old age, your ability to taste things changes, unfortunately. Finally, we know that gender plays a role as well. For example, we know that women over age 20 have a greater taste sensitivity compared to men. We think this is due to hormones. Theoretically, you could argue that evolution has ensured the protection of babies by creating this sensitivity and taste for women. In other words, pregnant women obviously need to be very careful what they eat, and this may ensure that bitter tasting substances, which may be stronger or poisonous, for example, would not be consumed. All right, so that concludes our short lecture on taste. Please proceed to the next lecture or video.